Welcome to Nona's Here. It's a pumpkin party. Today's theme is 5 DIY craft projects for $5 or less. This is one of my favorite collabs. I'm really glad you joined us today. So here's a picture of me. Wait a minute, that's not me. Just a minute. Hold on, that's not me either. Just a second. Okay, that's me. I'm Nona. Let's get over to my craft table and I'll show you what I've been working on. Pumpkin Party DIY number 1. Alright, this is my blessed box. I change it out for every season. So obviously it's time to take down the red, white, and blue. So I've deconstructed it. And I'm really lucky. This month I have just a whole stash of things left over from last year. I've got leaves. That pumpkin I just held up was on a garland that had a few pumpkins left on it, so I cut it apart. I have pumpkins, I have leaves, I have flowers. I just have all kinds of things left over from last year. So I'm going to use my stash from last year. Flowers, maple leaves. So I'm going to fill that blessed box all over again with pumpkin things for the pumpkin party. I'm just going to stick them in there. You can see I'm doing it. And I'm going to cut up some bamboo sticks to stick in the bottom of those pumpkins to stick them into the styrofoam. And I'm also going to use some toothpicks to stick in the bottoms of the pumpkins. And I'm just going to stick them in that styrofoam and make a real pretty display for my entryway table. What you see around the edges there is just some Christmas evergreen stuff that I use as filler. But when I get all done, you won't even see that because all the fall stuff will be over the top of it. This is a real economical project to do because all I have to do is buy the stuff to go inside, and I use the same box in styrofoam over and over again every season and holiday. So I'm just finding everything I have left over from last year and using it to fill the blessed box. Okay, there it is. I finished it. We'll get a better look at it at the final reveal. It came out real pretty and it looks really pretty on my entryway table. Alright, on to Pumpkin Party DIY number 2. Now for this one I did have to buy the styrofoam round wreath for $1.25, but you can see I still have a lot of stash left. I still have more flowers, more pumpkins, and more leaves, and I'm going to use all of that to make this wreath. I didn't have to buy anything new. I just had a lot left over from last year. So I'm just going to use it to fill in this styrofoam wreath. Some of those pumpkins have clips on the bottom, but I'm just going to take those clips off and stick toothpicks in the bottom to stick onto the wreath. So I'm just using up everything that I have from last year. And I'm going to fill in that wreath form, and I don't want any of the styrofoam to show through. So I'm really going to fill up that wreath form. That when I get done, all you're going to see is pretty fall flowers and leaves. I'm just sticking in the leaves and the flowers and whatever I can find. And then I had one long beady thing left over, and I even stuck that in because I like to use things that it kind of add a little bit of a surprise. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So I'm just filling in that wreath, filling in every single place. Okay, I'm just using a toothpick to stick in the bottom of that foam pumpkin to fill in the spaces because I like my wreaths to be full. This is simple. Oh, and the toothpick came out the top. That's all right. I'm just going to push it through, pull it through, and I'll cover that little hole with a leaf. You'll never see it. There's one of those pumpkins that was left over on the garland that I just cut the garland apart and used the pumpkins off of it. Then I had some ribbon in my stash, so I took some of the ribbon that matched the wreath pretty well, and I cut off a piece of that, and I made a hanger. Again, this is from last year. So I hot glued, there's that beady thing hanging down, and it just pulls the eye up of the wreath. It's just kind of a surprise element. So there I hot glued the ribbon on the back to make a hanger, and that finished off my wreath. Came out real pretty. And that finishes up DIY number 2. And don't look at that thing in the background. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Pumpkin Party DIY number 3. All right, so I did buy this pumpkin wreath form for this one. And I had some ribbon left over from last year, like this first one that I used, because I just had a strip of it. So I used it first to make sure it would go all the way across. But I did have to buy some new ribbon. So that's one that I had from last year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wide wired ribbon, and that one is, I think that's one that I bought brand new. Yeah, see, it still has the cellophane on it. So that's one that I bought new this year. And that's one that I had from last year, but I never even opened it. And this dark blue one I just found this year. So that's a new ribbon that I just found this year. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm weaving this wide wired ribbon through the pumpkin wreath form, in and out, in and out. See there? And then when I get to the end, well, I'm clipping it to hold it to the wired wreath form. Then when I get to the end, I hot glue the end down. See there? So that's what I'm doing. I'm hot gluing the end down. Then I'll start with the next ribbon that's a different pattern. And I'll weave it in and out, but the opposite weave of what I did the first ribbon. All right? It's a basket weave, so it's different. So you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So I'm gluing that down really good. And then I alternate the pattern, the ribbon patterns, as I go down the pumpkin wreath form. And I use the clips to make it hold on to the wire wreath real tightly. All right, so there's the second one. And you can see I did it opposite of how I did the first one. So now I'm going to glue those edges down. And then I'm going to do another pattern. Now I'm going to work the wired ribbon in different patterns all the way down the wired wreath, the wired pumpkin wreath. All right, just gluing the ends down. And I'm using the clips as I glue the ends down to hold the wired ribbon tightly so that they don't slip down. So I'm just gluing the end down. And this one's a little bit more difficult because where I'm gluing this down is on an inside wire, not an end wire. So this takes a little bit more finesse, but it's not hard. All right, so now I've worked my way down the pumpkin wired wreath to the bottom. And then what I had to do was I had to go back to make sure that the wired ribbon stayed where it's supposed to stay and not slip around, even though I had all those clips on. And you can see I used some heavy duty clips on the edges to really hold it. All right. So I'm just finishing the basket weaving with the wired ribbon. This isn't hard to do at all. So as I get it all done, then I have to go back and do dots of hot glue to hold the ribbon tightly against the wired pumpkin wreath so that the ribbons don't slip. See where I'm pointing to? I had put dots of hot glue just to hold that ribbon. Then I had this orange ribbon with the gold edging in my stash, so I used that to wrap the stem of the wired pumpkin wreath and then made a hanger with it. So that finished off the stem of the wreath form, and that's it. There's the ribbon that I used. So you'll get a better look at it at the final reveal. Pumpkin Party DIY number 4. All right, so I bought 2 of these packages of the big orange dye because I needed 3 of them. So I painted them with the Pumpkin Waverly chalk paint. I had to give them 2 coats to cover up the white dots. So I painted all 6 sides of those cubes. Got smart, put them on a bamboo stick, painted them, and stuck them in a piece of styrofoam to dry. Okay, so I painted 3 of them on all 6 sides of the cube, and then when they dried, I used wood glue and I glued them together kind of in a shape of a pumpkin, 1 on top, 2 on the bottom. All right, then I put 2 googly eyes on, and I had the googly eyes, and then I found a witch's hat in my stash, so I put a witch's hat on it. So this is a witch pumpkin. And then I drew on some funky eyelashes on her because I'm not a very good artist, so her eyelashes kind of came out funky. And then I drew a mouth on her using a Sharpie pen. Okay, so I'm drawing the eyelashes on with the Sharpie pen, and I'll show you in a minute, mouth. And then the witch's hat was on a pick, and it had a little ribbon on it. So you'll see this in the final reveal. I took the ribbon and put the ribbon on her neck to kind of fancy her up a little bit. Okay, so I'm still doing the eyelashes, which are real funky because I can't draw eyelashes. Okay, so there she's got eyelashes and a big smile, and that's it. Oh, so let me introduce our hostesses. Forgot this was coming up. Our hostesses for the pumpkin party are Emily from Farm Charm Chic, and our guest host is Cindy from Z9 Designs. And I want to thank Emily and Cindy for allowing me to join in today. Now you're going to want to be sure and check out their channels, which I will have the links down below, and they will have the main playlist of everyone who is joining in today. And you're going to want to be sure and check out the main playlist to see all the talented creators who are joining in the pumpkin party. Don't forget to do that. Okay, now going on to Pumpkin Party DIY number 5. All right, for this one I bought this glass like fish bowl, candy bowl. And I'm going to use my yellow maize chalk paint. And I'm going to use some napkins that I had in my stash from last year. And these are real pretty napkins with the pumpkin design on it. And I'm going to decoupage them on. And I bought this year these 5 burlap pumpkins, little pumpkins, 5 in a pack. And of course, I got those at Dollar Tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some alcohol and clean off the glass so the paint and the decoupage will stick. So I've just lightly painted the outside of the glass bowl with my yellow paint. Now I'm going to take a tiny brush and go over my design with some water so that I can tear the design off the napkin. So I'm slowly going over with this small brush with water so it will tear apart the design off the napkin, because I just want the design. And I'm going to be real honest here. When I got done, I still had a lot of white left, so I took my tiny scissors and I cut out as much of the white as I could get, because I didn't want the white napkin on my decoupage. So I tore it as close to the design as I could get it, and then I took my white small scissors and cut out where the white was still showing too much, because I just wanted to see how much white I still had. I went back and did it again, but I still had too much white left. So I used my tiny scissors to cut out as much of that design as I could get. Then I took my foam brush and I took my satin decoupage and I put on, oh, you have to be so careful because that napkin is just really falls apart on you. Okay, so then I took my satin Mod Podge and put on a good layer with my foam brush all along the bottom, so before I put on the napkin. So I did that, put on a good layer, and then I started to lay my napkin on top of that. And then I let it dry all night long. And after it dried all night long, then I went back the next day and did another layer of Mod Podge over the top of it. But I let it dry all night long before I did another layer. So this is just the first layer of me laying the napkin down and trying to get as many wrinkles and bubbles out. And it actually only took one full design and then only a part of a design to finish to go around the entire little fishbowl. And if my voice sounds funny, I'm sorry, I've got allergies. Okay, so I've almost got it on, and I just took the middle part of the design and filled in the middle part. Okay, now these are 2 bamboo sticks that I'm going to use as stems. So I'm going to paint them yellow with my maze to make stems for my pumpkins to go into the bowl. Okay, so I'm just painting them yellow. So I'm going to let those dry, and then as soon as those get all painted and dry, I'm going to go back to my bowl and let's see, what am I going to do next? Okay, I'm showing you that I've decoupaged it again and it's all dried, and I need to put some styrofoam down in the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to cut the styrofoam, slice it in half, put it down in, there you go. Now I'm ready to make my little pumpkin garden to go in there. So I'm going to take those burlap, and here comes our kitten Sienna, who has decided she's going to help me. No, Sienna, you got to get down. So I'm going to take those little burlap pumpkins, and I'm going to cut those bamboo stakes, and I'm going to make them sharp on both ends. And those are going to be the stems for the pumpkin garden. But it's real hard to stick those bamboo into those burlap pumpkins. So I had to take my small scissors and make holes in the bottom. And here comes Sienna again. And I'm going to stick those in there like that after I make a small hole with my small scissors, because that burlap is really, really thick. And those pumpkins are stuffed really, really full. Okay. And for those of you that are real observant, you're now seeing a third dress that I have on in my sleeves. That's because I craft over several days. Okay, so now I'm going to stick those in. And you also see I have a hat on. That's my hat, LED hat for hair growth. Okay, so there we go. I got 2 of them in. So I'm going to finish putting all the pumpkins in, but now I need to fill up the rest of the bowl. So I have, and here comes Sienna, I have white rocks that I was using for another craft project. And so I took out what I had in that bowl, and now I'm going to pour those. And for some reason this is on slow-mo, but I speeded it up. Excuse me. I'm putting those white rocks in to fill in the bowl from another craft project that I'm no longer using. Okay, Sienna's very interested in that. Okay, so there the pumpkin garden is all finished with the little pumpkins in the decoupage glass. And we'll take another look at that at the final reveal. Hey, the final reveal of the pumpkin party. And if I haven't said I'm sorry for my voice, I have allergies. And I've been coughing. Okay, so the final reveal. Here's the blessed box with the pumpkin party display. And here is the pumpkin party wreath. And here is the pumpkin party ribbon pumpkin wreath. And here is the witch pumpkin. Tell me which one is your favorite down below in the comments. That's the witch pumpkin. And here is the decoupage pumpkin garden. And now here is the video of all of them. The wreath, the pumpkin wreath ribbon, and the decoupage pumpkin garden, and the blessed pumpkin display, and the pumpkin witch. There you have all 5. Thanks again to Emily and Cindy for being our hosts for the pumpkin party and for allowing me to participate. We appreciate it. This is Known as Here. We hope to see you again very soon. Bye.